Today I want to bring you yet another book review, and that's gonna be of Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson. This book is basically the author's childhood memoir. So we're following Jackie from the day that she's born in 1963 to sometime in the 1970s, I think. You're gonna be basically looking at her experiences as a young African American girl growing up during a time that was kind of revolutionary for her people. So we kind of get a touch of the whole black civil rights movement and stuff like that, and basically how these movements and these ideas kind of impacted this young girl Jacqueline, and how they kind of invoked various curiosities and epiphanies in her mind growing up as a child. However, the main theme of this book, I would say, would have to be Jacqueline's desire to become a writer. We get to see that from a very young age she is infatuated by storytelling and making up her own stories, reading books, and just the desire to put pen to paper and let her stories flow out of her and become something that other people can enjoy as well. This was perhaps one of the most profound and thought-provoking books that I've read in quite a while. It was so uniquely crafted and unusual to me, and that is firstly because of the writing style. This book is written in free verse, or rather a series of poems. So as you can see, it's not written like a normal book. Each poem basically kind of tells a story about Jacqueline, or kind of covers a topic or feeling or family member that Jacqueline wants to talk about or discuss. Each poem kind of has this underlying theme to it, which you yourself as the reader have to figure out, and that's what's most interesting about this book, because every single individual who reads this book will take away something different from each poem, which makes the reading experience a lot more personal for the reader. And what I also absolutely love about the writing style and storytelling of this book is that it's told in such a way that you don't feel as though as if it's the adult Jacqueline talking to you or writing or just, recounting her childhood. You feel like if you're reading the words of the actual child, the baby, the 2-year-old girl who you're following. And to me, that just makes the story feel more authentic. So just to give you a little gist of the feel of the writing of this book, I want to read one poem to you. So this poem is entitled Reading, and it's on page 226. I am not my sister. Words from the books curl around each other, make little sense until I read them again and again, the story settling into my memory. Too slow, the teacher says, read faster. Too babyish, the teacher says, read older. But I don't want to read faster or older, or any way else that might make the story disappear too quickly from where it's settling inside my brain, slowly becoming a part of me. A story I will remember long after I've read it for the 2nd, 3rd, 10th, 100th time. That was one of the poems that I liked a lot. It's definitely not my favorite poem, but I was too lazy to mark off the poems that I really liked, and also too lazy to, go back and look for poems when I could just, open the book randomly on page 226 and read what I saw there. So the final thing that I absolutely loved about this book was the family aspect. I mostly read young adult fiction, and in young adult fiction we don't really focus a lot on the family aspect of the protagonist's life, but this is a childhood memoir, so naturally family will play an integral role in this book. We get to see her relationship with her siblings and her mother and her grandparents as it develops throughout her childhood. And these relationships really formed the foundation of this story, which is what I absolutely loved about the family aspect of this book in particular. In the beginning of the book, she actually has a family tree, 2 family trees actually, one of her father's family and one of her mother's family. and this is just so you can basically get to see who is who, when they were born, stuff like that. And in the back of the book you also have pictures of her family members, so you can also kind of get to see what they look like, which I think is really cool because, you know, when you're reading a book you conceptualize what these characters look like, but with this book you actually get to see what they actually look like in the end, which I think was very interesting. As I've stated before, this was a very thought-provoking and profound book. If you were to buy a copy of this book now, the cover is literally covered in awards. And anyone who has ever read this book can probably justify that because, I mean, come on, this book was absolutely incredible. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend this book to every person of every age. To me, it appeals to all age groups. There is no content that can be considered explicit. So your children can read this, you can read this, your parents can read this, anybody can read it. And considering that it's written in free verse, you might probably get through it really quick. I mean, I read this in maybe 3 or 4 sittings, but you could probably read this in 1. So that basically brings me to the end of this video. If you've also read Brown Girl Dreaming, definitely let me know down below what were your thoughts on this book. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.